Hey there, how's it going? In this video, it's all about testing. Again, good old test on the FOMO Cobra YouTube channel. And the test I want to do today is all about tire pressure and traction. So I wanted to test some theories about tire pressure and how it affects traction on a normal street tire, not a drag radial, not a slick, but a normal street tire. Now, I've read in multiple places and I've seen people say that for increased traction and handling, sometimes it's best to slightly overinflate your tires. Now, I'm not sure exactly how well that works because, of course, most people, to get better traction on the drive tires, especially for straight line performance, is to lower the pressure. So in today's video, I'm going to test just that. I'm going to see if overinflating the tires increases traction, and I'm also going to test and see if underinflating tires increases traction. So that's what we're doing in today's video. So one thing to keep in mind in this test is we're not looking at how fast the car is going. Today the car is not going to be running as fast, maybe even as it normally does, because it is extremely hot. Like, I'm talking almost 100 degrees right now. So after a few runs, and we're going to be doing about 6 runs total, after those runs this car is not going to be very happy. It's going to be very heat soaked. I'm not looking at the overall time. Doesn't make a difference. We're not seeing how fast the car can go. We've already did that. What we're trying to see is if there's any difference between the runs and the different tire pressures in those runs. So that's what we're trying to see, the differences between each run. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 6 total tests, which means we're going to be doing 2 tests for each set of tire pressures. Now the first test I'm going to do, because it's just the easiest way to do it, is I'm going to start with the tires overinflated. Right now I have the rear tire set about 35 psi cold. Factory temp is, or the recommended temp is 32 psi. So we're slightly overinflated on the rear tires, and at this psi when the tires are warm should get about 38, 39 psi hot. So it's all going to correlate the same. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 runs there, and then we're going to average that out. Then we're going to do 2 runs at factory temperature. So I know I've increased increased pressure by 3 psi, so then I'm going to decrease pressure by 3 psi back down to where it would be at 32 psi cold that Ford recommends for this tire in this car. And then the final test will be seeing if there is actually an improvement when you underinflate a normal street tires. So what we're going to do is we're going to lower the pressure on the rear tires to about 25 psi. So that would be 10 psi difference from our first test of 35, and then we'll underflate the 25 for our last test. And let's see if there's any difference in traction. Now these runs will be done with some brake boosting, so I'll probably bring the RPMs up to 2,000. And you know, just launch the car as good as I can, because the whole point is seeing if there's any benefit and is there any improvement in traction with the different pressures. So that's how the test is going to be run down. Also, one other small side note, traction control will be off, because no matter what, if the car detects any type of wheel spin, it will intervene to stop it. So that also negates the, you know, possibility of better tire traction or better tire performance if traction control is going to kick in anyway, and to try to limit wheel spin. So I want to know exactly how much spin I'm getting with each time we reset the pressure on the rear wheel. So traction control will be off for these runs. Oh, and I guess there was even one other small detail about the tests here. It will be done in drag strip mode. All right, I think we're good. Let's see what the car does with the current tire pressure. Brake boosting at 2,000 RPM. Oh, we'll spin there. All right, 60. Let's see what it did. Wow, 0 to 60, 5.2. 0 to 60 in 5.2. I think that was the fastest this car's ever gone to 60, surprisingly. Well, that's interesting. So we're gonna back that test up again, do another run, and then we'll average those 2 runs out. So run number 2, see what happens. All right, I already feel the car slowing down. At least to me it feels slower. Let's see what Draggy says. Yeah, 0.2 seconds slower, 5.4 that time. Still, that I still believe is some of the fastest 0 to 60 times I've gotten with this car. And to my surprise, even over inflated. I mean, I understand it's really warm out here, so, but it's actually hooking up really well with the tires over inflated. So now we're gonna lower the tires back down to factory settings. So we're gonna lower them 3 PSI, and then we'll try this again. All right, so now I'm ready to do the next set of tests. The tires have been lowered back down to factory specifications, 32 PSI. So we'll see if there's any difference in traction between overinflating and stock tire inflation. All right. The car definitely felt less stable that time, I'll tell you that much. Felt like it was kind of just going all over the place. All right, that time looks like we were also 5.4 seconds to 60, so no improvement over the first set of runs with overinflating the tire. All right, second run here of the second set of tests. Brake boost. Definitely some wheel spin. All right. What do we manage that time? 5.3. Okay, so I mean we're in the same ballpark. It's not enough of a difference to say that there was a difference there with tire inflation. So now the last and final test. We're gonna underinflate the tires to about 25 PSI. We'll see if there's any difference in traction. So now we have the rear tires set at 25 PSI. The car's telling me tire pressures are way too low, but let's see if it actually helps with traction from a dig when launching this car, and see if we don't get any wheel spin, we can help propel this car forward here. So this will be run number 1 of those tests. I tell you, it seems to grab harder on the shifts, but I'm not sure if it helped at all. Actually, it did. 5.29, so that was the fastest run. Actually, that may be the fastest run, or just about as fast as the first run. And now, one thing I take into consideration is the car is pretty heat soaked. So that must have definitely helped with traction from the dig there. So let's run the test back one more time. See what it ends up being. I can actually see here in the road where I was leaving some rubber, so we were definitely getting wheel spin. But let's see here. Final test. Tire pressure 25 PSI. See if we can make a record run. Haze in the tires. I just saw it leave a strip of rubber. Jeez. Woo, that shift is hard. Oh, these A10 automatics. Wow. All right, what do we got? 5.27. So underinflating the car, the tires have consistently run faster. That I can see already, but we need to still average the times out and make a final conclusion to the test here. So going back through all the runs here, I did notice that the first run was still the fastest, but not by much. We're talking about 2/10. So that was 5.25. Those two runs averaged together average out to 5.35 seconds, 0 to 60. The next set of runs were probably going to be the slowest of the batch, and this was tire pressure set at 32 psi. It's how Ford recommends. It's on the side of the door here. So those two runs averaged out equal 5.39 seconds to 60. Now the final set of runs, and honestly, to no surprise to anyone probably, but the final two sets of runs with the rear tires underinflated to 25 psi, well under factory recommendations on a normal street tire, we were able to get an average run of 5.28 seconds. So that was the quickest set of runs altogether, no matter if the tires were overinflated at factory settings. Underinflating the tires still resulted in better overall times to 60. So are you honestly surprised? Now see, the reason why I did this test, because there was just a lot of information out there on the internet, and a lot of things I would read. You know, sometimes you would read best ways to improve your car's traction is to overinflate the tires if on a street tire. I've read that quite a few times. I'm not sure if you have, but I surely have, and I've seen it said by, you know, certain YouTube channels and whatnot. And you know, I think that may be true if you were, you know, you want to increase the traction of your car if you were doing some turns, you know, if you were doing more than straight line stuff. But I think no matter what, underinflating, you know, lowering the tire pressure of your drive tires will always be the #1 way to increase traction in a straight line. So if you are just trying to get some good dig runs on the road, or you know, you want to increase your traction while on the street, and if you're just at the track having a good time and you just want to try to get a better 60 foot, it just seems the best way no matter what to always lower tire pressure. And another cool thing about doing this video is I did actually set new personal best runs in this car. I have yet to go that quick with 0 to 60. Actually, some of my runs, including rollout, were under 5 seconds, which is the fastest I've ever been in this car. 0 to 60 is pretty cool on a street tire. But that will be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you did like the video, then please give it a thumbs up, share it with everyone you know, and if you want to see more content like this, then go ahead, subscribe to the channel, and keep a lookout for the next true Ford enthusiast video.